I don't know if you can hear me though. Not sure because I have this wireless mic and I'm kind of just testing it out. But sorry for being delayed by 20 minutes. But I kind of forgot and it's hard to really get everything set up in just 3 minutes. So it wasn't exactly the greatest. But hey, I'm live now. I'm not sure how long it'll last because I've kind of been busy, but I'm live now. So, also last stream, wasn't the greatest quality. So, if any viewers pop in, it'd be nice for it to tell, but I would just have to re-say that. So yeah, this is the stream, and yeah. And then we're just going to be talking all about gardening if you're new to these streams, because really I'm new to these streams. So yeah. So one thing we want to focus on is tomatoes, an easy plant to grow. What are some ways that we can make it better, and failed experiments and stuff? Like you can put, I've heard things about putting ashes, like wood ash, underneath there, and that works well. One thing that does work well, and I've tried, is burying it kind of underground, more than just the roots and the stems. You can even bury it sideways, and all of that stem will have tons of roots, and that can help get better tomatoes. That's one thing. Also, strawberries are something that they're such a good plant, but it's hard to grow a lot of strawberries because maintenance and stuff. But otherwise, it's not that hard to get a lot of plants because I have these 2 containers now, and I got 15 runners, thought that was insane. Now we got 20 more. We cut off some, but a lot are still growing. That's a crazy thing about them. Like that's like so many just this year. I think we'll get probably 40 more plants that will actually grow, because I don't know how many we actually have, 30 maybe, but some of them will die off, especially after the shock of cutting literally all where it gets all of its energy just from the main plant. So not some of them will die, but I don't know, you know. But well, in a little bit, we can probably cut off some of the runners. Oh, hey, I got a viewer. I have one viewer now. That's better. But can I? Maybe not anymore. But I was just gonna ask, is my mic good? But all right, we got another viewer. But is my sound good and quality? I have no idea. It'd be nice to comment that down. It doesn't matter though. Elliot, as long as you can hear me somewhat good, that's fine. But we were just talking about tomatoes and strawberries. That's all. Not a whole lot of fun stuff. But soon will be fall, and we're gonna have to be raking leaves because leaves are great for composting. Like, you can literally just make compost purely out of leaves, and that's the only thing that people actually. You can make compost out of purely anything, but leaves, it makes it really easy to do. Just a second, I got a little notification. Not sure if that froze the screen. Sometimes it does that, which is one of the many problems of not having an actual software to do this. Like comments, not the easiest thing to do with just straight up on YouTube. But let's get back into gardening and stuff with leaves. So amazing. There's so many different ways that you can compost it. That's one of the many cool things. You can just compost it in a pile. You can compost it in bags, literally trash bags. And you can just pretty much set it and forget it, literally, and it works. Now, sometimes you might want to add water to it to make it faster and better, but it doesn't always, you don't always have to, and it'll still work like that, and you can just set it and forget it, come back in a year or two, and there's compost right in the bag, and you can just lay it anywhere. Um, so yeah, that's one thing. And then literally the easiest way is just putting it in a pile, and that works. Just like normal composting. Nothing, you don't need to make anything special. You just can put it in a pile, and even that you can just leave it. You don't have to do anything. And in fact, leaves are one of the many things where you don't really need to turn it. Like you don't have to turn it like a lot like normal compost because it's just like it's a different material, kind of like wood. You wouldn't aerate wood even if you're like you wouldn't be necessarily trying to compost wood. That's not the smartest thing, but you wouldn't be aerating it, you know? It's not the normal microbes that are breaking it down. It's the fungi and mushrooms and all of that. And leaves are similar to that, where you don't have to do it. Now, of course, it is nice to give it a turn and mix everything a little, even just once. But like, even if you don't really want to like do a lot, it's nice to do it like normal compost. It's nice to turn it because otherwise you're just gonna have like a layer like this big of just whatever compost material you were using on top, not composted at all. And that's just one of the things. I don't wait. Just a second. I have no idea how to use this, but I think I've messed up. I don't know. Whatever. At least you guys can hear me or something. I mean, actually, I don't know. It's one of the things where the setup's not really the greatest. Yeah, it still looks kind of nice in my opinion, but um like I have some little light things that would go right here on there, and I think that'd be one thing to make it look cooler. I don't know, but also actually I only have one, but my brother has another one, and it'd be nice to do both. So I think we can convince him to do it, especially, if this live stream gets a lot of likes and comments all about that. I think we can convince him to do it because you can't. It's just at a store, and next day you can't find it, and I only got one, so not the greatest. But I think it'd look really cool there, and I'd also want to make a setup somewhere there, off camera, of course, but somewhere to actually be able to charge my phone while doing this. But onto the topic of gardening again, um, like with compost and stuff, it's actually really fun. And there are many ways of doing it, just like leaves and stuff. Basically, a lot of the similar because it's leaves are basically just another compost ingredient. But sometimes they're different, and like grass, it's a lot different than leaves and a lot different on how you want to compost it. Like grass, you might want to spread it out and let it dry out so that it doesn't get into thick mats. But like with leaves, you could just spread it, or like you can just do whatever you want. And super simple way of composting. And you can compost grass and leaves and everything else, food scraps, eggshells and coffee grounds, everything, with a worm bin. It's probably my favorite way of composting. And it's so nice and easy. Some people start out with 100 worms, some people start out with thousands of worms. Now, I think I'm like, what, probably, yeah, the first time that I started with it was 50 worms. And that was crazy. Like, that was not any worms almost at all. And then the next time that I started a worm bin, I started out with 25 worms because, it was summer and stuff, and I was already busy doing other stuff in the garden. I didn't really care. I could just feed it every now and then. It wasn't the main part. So 25 worms, that was okay, and that was fine. And it's been growing. Yeah, that did fall. I don't have the greatest setup for it. Duct tape, like I've already said, does not hold. I even tried using clothespins to first go on the duct tape, and then that still didn't work. I'm thinking of putting a board almost on top, drilling holes and cutting part of that, and so that we can like zip tie it like a bunch, and that might work because currently it's not holding up the greatest. But alright, I got another notification. I think it freezes it. That's not the greatest. But yeah, we will have to end soon, just like last stream. Because honestly, I don't know if Saturday at this time is the greatest time, but I don't really know yet. But I probably should get back on the topic of gardening. I always keep talking about my videos and stuff and doing everything in the behind the scenes, but I'm not sure if that's really the greatest because I feel like it is not titled like behind the scenes and stuff. It's gardening, and half this stuff is gardening and no one really cares. But or no, half this stuff is this, and yeah, and no one cares pretty much. I feel like, I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you're thinking about becoming a YouTuber like me and doing that. Personally, I think doing YouTube was probably the best decision of my life. It's been fun doing it, and I've gotten 150,000 people to see my videos. Not necessarily counted as views, but it's been fun. And I got like 60,000 technical actual views, but shown in feed stuff is different than what people count, or like what YouTube counts as views. But onto the topic of all sorts of gardening and composting, of course. Um, there are like so many different ways to garden. Raised beds, and I think that might fall. I just heard it. Yeah, I think it's gonna fall again. But raised beds, in-ground beds, mounds, hugelkultur mounds, no-till, no-dig. There are a lot of different ways, and it can be complicated. But personally, raised beds I think are just great. Like weeds, not. I mean, they still can be a problem, but it's a lot better, especially if you put something underneath the raised beds and stuff. But like that's just one of the many ways of gardening. Personally, I want to try doing a hugelkultur garden, like having logs like stacked up and then dirt. If you've ever heard of it, I think it's a great way of doing. And I need to get something else for this, but there's I talk about it in pretty much all of my streams and never done an actual video on it. But electroculture, I don't really know a lot about it. I haven't seen that many videos about it, and I haven't experimented with it, which is what I want to do. It's basically using the air and stuff, putting everything in soil, and then just I have no idea, but it makes the plants grow a lot better. You probably could just look it up on YouTube and find a ton of videos on it. But interesting fact, I I feel like I say this every time. I repeat everything in my streams. Not the greatest thing to do, but if you just look it up on anything like normally, like YouTube will have a bunch, but like it will actually say that it doesn't work or that it was never been proven or like it's never been tested, which is the thing. It doesn't mean it doesn't work because there are enough videos online showing that it clearly works and there needs to be an actual test to do it. But that's one of the things that will work. And if you combine that, I think if you combine that with worm castings and stuff, you can get an insane amount, I think, like of produce and stuff. Like there was one picture a while ago that I saw, and it's really cool. It's like 20%, 10%, 20%, 50%, 100% worm castings, and it just goes like this little bit, and then just like this big of a plant, and that just shows the difference. Just normal compost and soil is not always the greatest because like the one with zero worm castings was like this small, and when it has that much worm casting, it's that big. So of course that might actually not be true. I don't know, but I do know that worm castings definitely do make a difference in the soils. Actually, I'm gonna check something on my little camera. I know it's bad to do, but yeah, my battery percentage never is good, especially when I forget to stream and stuff immediately. So I think we're gonna end the stream about now. I know I haven't done a whole lot of gardening talking, but whatever. I'll be doing this like every week. So I think it'll be fun and I'll learn more and really how to do this right. And yeah, so I'm just gonna turn off the stream now. Bye. Yep, stop streaming. Bye. Last time.